Okay, so today we're going to talk about our area and circumference formulas. This should all just be review for you. You have seen these formulas before, you've used these formulas before, so today should be a really easy day for you. So you need to remember, though, that your area formula is going to be pi times radius squared. And that your circumference formula is going to be 2 pi r, or you can use pi times diameter, whatever you would like. Okay, so you're going to need your calculators for this one. You should have already gotten them when you walked in the door, but make sure you have one. Okay, so you need to pay close attention to the directions. Our directions here say that we're going to find the area for circles 1 through 4. So area here, 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 and here. And it tells us to find circumference for circles 5 through 8. So I'm going to put C equals on 5 through 8. Make sure on your homework for tonight, don't start it yet, but make sure that you pay attention to the directions on your homework. It's really important. Okay, so on number 1, we are going to find the area. So remember, our area formula is pi r squared. Writing it multiple times helps you memorize it, so I highly suggest doing that. Okay, so my radius is given to me, it is 12 meters. So I'm going to plug that 12 in for r. So I'm going to do pi times 12 squared. You should be able to plug that directly into your calculator. It doesn't tell us what to round to, so I'm just going to round to the nearest hundredth. So this answer should give you 452.39 meters squared. Make sure you put your units. So this is my answer. I'm going to box it in. Okay. All right. So our next question, I still want the area. So my formula is still pi r squared. But this time, it does not give me my radius. Instead, it is giving me my diameter. It goes all the way across. So if my diameter is 18, my radius must be half of that, which is 9. So that's what I'm going to plug in for my r. So I'm going to calculate pi times 9 squared, which should give me 254.47. And this is going to be inches squared. Okay. So I'm going to skip around here. I'm not going to work every single problem, but I do not want you to mark anything out because I may have you work them later. So I want you to skip down to number 5. We're going to look at circumference next. So with this, notice that it gives me my radius. So I'm going to use the circumference formula that has radius already in it. So that's going to be 2 pi r. I'm going to use whatever formula suits the problem best. So I'm going to plug it in. 2 times pi times 7. I can plug that directly into my calculator. And I'm going to get 43.98 millimeters. Not squared this time because I didn't square anything in my equation. So it is just millimeters. Okay, so I'm going to skip to number 7 and I'm going to work number 7. So in number 7, it gives me 58 yards as my diameter. So I'm going to use the formula that has diameter in it. So that is going to be pi times diameter. And I'm going to plug in the diameter into that. So pi times 58. So if I round that, I'm going to get 182.21 yards. Okay. I'm going to skip some more down to number 10. So the directions read, use the area and circumference formulas to find the radius or diameter. Okay. So on number 9, I want to find the diameter. I'm going to underline the key words here. I'm going to find the diameter of a circle with a circumference of 65.97. So first of all, I'm going to write down the circumference formula that has diameter in it. So my circumference formula that has diameter in it is C equals pi times diameter. So the question tells me that the circumference is 65.97. So that is going to go in for my capital C. So I'm going to plug in 65.97 equals pi times diameter. So now this is just like an algebra equation where I need to solve for D. So I want to get rid of the pi. The pi and the D, they're standing right next to each other. They're multiplying. So to get rid of multiplication, you have to divide. So I'm going to divide by pi to both sides. You can plug that directly into your calculator, 65.97 divided by pi. So what you're left with is 21 meters for your diameter. Okay, so number 10, it says find the radius of a circle with a circumference of 21.99 feet. So this time I'm going to use my circumference formula that has radius in it. So that's 2 pi r. Now it tells me my circumference is 21.99. So I'm going to plug that in for C. So 21.99 equals 2 pi r. So just like in the last problem, I want to solve for r. So I want to get rid of both the 2 and the pi by dividing, because they're multiplying to the radius. So I have to divide by 2 pi. Now, you can't just plug this into the calculator the way it reads right now. In order to plug it all in at the same time, you must put the 2 pi in parentheses, or the calculator will read it wrong. You will get the wrong answer. So make sure you put 2 pi in parentheses if you divide by it. So once you divide, you should get 3.5 feet for your radius. Okay. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to look at number 12 next. So number 12 tells me to find the radius of a circle with an area this time of 380.13. So this time I want to write down the area formula that has radius in it, which is pi r squared. Now it tells me my area is 380.13, so I'm going to plug that number in for A. And that equals pi times radius squared. So just like in the previous problem, you want to get the r by itself, but I have to first move over the pi by division. So I have to divide by pi. So if I divide by pi, I'm going to end up with 121 equals r squared. But I'm not done yet because I don't have r completely by itself. It's still squared. So in order to get rid of a squared, you have to take the square root. So take the square root of that 121. And you will end up with 11. Okay, let's look at number 13. So on number 13 it says, find the diameter of a circle with an area of 615.75 square centimeters. So I want to find the diameter given the area. There's only one area formula though, and it doesn't have diameter in it. So we got to work with pi r squared. I'm going to plug in the 615.75, and I'm going to solve it just like I did the previous problem. I'm going to divide by pi first to get it away from the r. I'm going to end up with 196 when I divide, but I've got to take the square root now. So r will end up giving me 14. But it asks for diameter. So I have to take that radius and I have to multiply it by 2. So my answer should be 28 centimeters. Okay, I'm going to leave the next one for you. Okay. The next few problems tell me to use the information given to find the area or the circumference. So these have a little bit more to them than the last few problems. So if you look at number 15, it tells me to find the area, but it gives me the circumference of 26 pi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the circumference formula first because it is what is given to me. My circumference formula that I'm going to use just in this case is going to be pi times diameter. And I'm going to plug in the circumference in for C. So that goes 26 pi goes here. So if I have a pi on either side of the equation, what happens to it? You should have said it cancels out. If you did, good job. So it cancels out there. So what I have left is 26 is the diameter, but I want to find the area. So my area formula is pi r squared, but I have diameter. So to get my radius, I just have to cut it in half. My radius would be 13. So if I plug that into my area formula, I'm going to do pi times 13 squared to get my answer. And it should be 530.93 feet squared. Okay, so the rest are really similar. I'm going to work a couple more with you. Let's look at number 16. So I want to find the circumference, but I'm given the area. So I'm going to start with area. Area is pi r squared. And it tells me my area is 289 pi. So I'm going to plug that in for A. And that is going to equal to the area formula, pi r squared. So just like in the previous problem, the pi's cancel out. So I have 289 equals r squared. Well, I want just r, so I have to take the square root. So the square root of 289 is 17. So now I'm going to find the circumference. And I'm going to use 2 pi r since I already have my radius. So I'm just going to plug it in, 2 pi times 17. And I'm going to end up with 106.81 millimeters. That's my answer. Okay, let's do one more of those. So I'm going to look at number, let's see here, let's look at number 18. So I want to find the area, but I'm given the circumference. Okay, so my circumference here is 131.95 meters. I'm going to use the circumference formula. This time I'm going to use 2 pi r, just to change things up. I'm going to plug in the circumference in for C. 131.95 equals 2 pi r. So in order to solve for my radius, I've got to get rid of the 2 pi by dividing. So divide by 2 pi. But remember, when you divide by 2 pi in your calculator, you need to put it in parentheses. We talked about that on the front page. Put it in parentheses if you divide by 2 pi. And you will end up with 21 for your radius. So now I want to find the area. So my area formula is pi r squared. I'm going to take the radius that I just found and I'm going to plug it in. And when I do that, I get 1,385.44, and this is meters squared because it is area. Okay, so the problems that we didn't complete, I want you to finish up right now. Then in front of you, you have a homework. It's homework 1. You need to go ahead and get started on that. If you do not finish that, that is going to be due tomorrow. It will be homework if you don't finish in class.